On Teddy Breakfast, it's Petrol with Matthew Dixon.
Hey, Matt.
How you going?
Do you have a vax yet? You going to have a vax?
I've had 2 goes at it.
Have you? You missed both times, did you?
Took 2 goes to get it right.
They're not calling it AstraZeneca anymore, by the way.
It's probably a pretty good marketing move, isn't it? Obviously, there's a little bit of negativity associated with AZ, so they said, let's fix the name and then everyone will forget about it.
Vaxzevria. It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? That's what they're calling it now.
Well, AstraZeneca didn't really roll off the tongue. I think most people just called it AZ. But
Yeah, everyone did call it A to Z. Yeah.
that's right.
Now they're calling it Vaxzevria for international travel. When we use our card, we sometimes we do a lot of tapping, though, these days, don't we?
We do.
That magnetic strip is going to be a thing of the past as far as MasterCard's concerned, I use.
I think it'll be a thing of the past for all different cards. At the moment, that magnetic strip is very rarely used.
What's on it?
It's interesting. If you do actually do a scan of that, if you pick up a magnetic reader, which are very cheap and easy to pick up, and you just run that through
Can you get one of those, can you?
You can get magnetic readers, and that little magnetic strip is just a series of numbers that identify your card, as in almost the numbers that are on the card as a little bit of extra information. But essentially, it's the numbers that are in the card. And all that really does is instead of someone typing in a number into a machine, when you swipe that card through, it's no great security perspective at it. It's just basically taking those numbers and typing them in to save a human typing them in, maybe making a mistake or going very slowly about it. So that magnetic strip initially was put on there not for any great security, but to make it just a bit faster. There was probably a subtle bit of security because someone couldn't just pick it up and read the number off it, but it was pretty easy to get a reader to read that. So they want some better methods, some more secure methods to take the information from your card to identify that it's your money that they're about to take out of the bank and put into their bank.
Well, now we tap and go too, don't we?
Yeah, and that's obviously...
Is that the same thing?
Well, it's not quite the same thing. It does still transfer the information in terms of the card, the details on that card, the information about you, but not really you. It's just identifying numbers. But there's a little bit more security around that because there's, believe it or not, almost a little conversation that goes on between your card and the machine that you tap or swipe it. Yeah, so it actually sends a signal out, it gets a bit of information back, and it kind of bounces back a couple of times to resonate a certain frequency for the information that's there. So there's a little bit more intelligence that goes on with that. You can get readers as well that will do that, but they've got to be readers that have got certain protocols. So it's not just off the shelf $10 at an electronics store. So it's a bit more difficult for someone just to steal the information off a card. So certainly more security. But I think the idea of MasterCard, their announcement, is really talking about even more secure methods, having information like fingerprints built into the card where you've got to have some authentication against you, the human, to say that, yes, it's okay to use this card. So if someone steals your card, they can't go on a tap fiend around the town and go and tap everywhere. They've got to be some sort of way of identifying that it's you.
Way back in the prehistoric ages, and you asked my children, that's when I was born, in the prehistoric, you actually took your card to this horizontal sliding machine, whack, whack, and they'd... remember those?
Very funny, Richard. I used to call them chunk chunk machines. And
chunk machines,
the other day, during the whole COVID, what do we do with our time? We were cleaning out the back office the other day, and I found a chunk chunk machine. And I had a couple of my young staff members.
You got a chunk chunk machine,
well, I asked a couple of my young staff members.
Did everybody in Access bow down and say, "Oh, holy grail"?
Well, I showed some of the 20-year-olds that work for me, and I said, "What's this?" And they said, "We've never seen that in our lives." So I explained the process that we used to do, where you'd put the card in and chunk across, and then the process of actually filling in a form and taking all that paper to the bank and hopefully getting paid from all that process. And they looked at me as if I was from some, as you said, some prehistoric age. It was very amusing to see.
But then you'd get the customer to sign it, wouldn't you?
Sign the bit of paper, and you just had no idea really it was going to be paid. And if it was over a certain amount, you had to ring and get authorization to make sure.
Had credit.
All that sort of stuff. So I was sitting there explaining it to my staff going, I can't believe we did this. What a prehistoric method we had here of getting money from people. This is crazy. Almost as funny as writing on a bit of paper.
Back to this tap and pay now, I worry about that because if you drop your card and you don't know, and sometimes it just slips out of your hand or out of your purse or whatever onto the ground, someone can pick it up and use it.
That's right, and that's what people do. If they do steal a card, they know that it's probably going to be $100, so they can go into lots of places, make purchases less than $100, and the banks are good in covering that, but the banks are also pretty quick in identifying that something might be going wrong here. There's not normal behaviour happening with this particular card, so they're pretty quick at jumping on that.
But
That's why
it doesn't track down the user.
the only thing it does track down is that they say it's been used at store A, B, C, D, and E. Maybe something's going on. So the banks are pretty quick to get onto that. But the whole idea of some sort of biometric test is part of that. So in other words, a fingerprint. So when you go and tap, it identifies you with a fingerprint. Then it stops people from just going tap and go unless they find the card sitting on the ground along with your finger.
Yeah. See, whereas before when you had this paper stuff on the tink machine and you signed a check, you took it out on the check account, you had to sign a signature. But there again, it was very rarely checked by the cashier or by the checkout chick or anything.
I think there were some famous court cases, Richard, where they said that it's not actually in the skill set of a person in a retail environment to be a signature analysis person. So in other words, they aren't expected to have those skills to go, oh, wait up, Richard, that's not your signature. I'm not accepting your check.
All right. Short answer to a short question. When are we going to no longer see any of these credit cards, these bits of plastic, and we will have fingerprints?
I think we'll see fingerprints probably within 3 years' time. I think by 2024 we'll see credit cards coming out with fingerprints on them, and I think the magnetic strip will be gone possibly by the end of this decade.
Yes, that's good too. And then, it's already. If you go to NASA and you go behind the scenes, all the scientists use their fingers on keypads and stuff anyway.
Yeah, and eyes as well.
Yeah, the eyes. Yeah. Yes, the eyes have it. All right, look out for your MasterCard. It could become a souvenir in the back rooms of Access very soon with that strip on it. You never know. You never know.
On Duty
8 o'clock, Duty Breakfast.
Thanks, mate.